esteemed panelists, members of PhD, CCI, the veterans, some of the serving officers, industry partners, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, Jai Hind. At the outset, I would like to express my gratitude to PhD CCI for having invited me and given me an opportunity to share my views, our views on this very important technological development of the recent past. And also I would like to compliment them for this apt topic, advancing the drone ecosystem towards Viksit Bharat. That's what is really required. We need to look at it. How do we contribute? How does this drone itself contribute towards Viksit Bharat? Well, I think most of us are already aware, but I just like to recapitulate that in recent conflicts, we have seen that drones have become a game changer. They are actually changing the dynamics of warfare. And it is just some few tactical successes by these drones which are actually leading to strategic connotations. And that's why, in fact, at times we think about it, that are they really just a drone or are they battlefield equalizers? It is because of the capability, the versatility, the flexibility in their operation and the low cost options which actually have made us to think, do we really need a tank against a tank? Or for that matter, do we even really need an anti-tank guided missile against a tank? Or can that be, the same effect be achieved by just a drone of few lakhs or at least less than a crore? And that is not to say that the tanks are not required, especially I can't be saying that, because myself being a tank man and armored corps officer, tanks have their own importance, their own relevance. But the value, the importance of drones as battlefield equalizers is something which is really has come to the fore and we need to exploit it. Various kinds of applications as of today, starting right from say ISR operations, target strikes and with precision. The asymmetric warfare wherein the loiter munitions are able to achieve much more. The electronic warfare being used as for the purpose of communications, relay stations, and say for minefield detection and diffusion. Also can be used for any kind of recce, including in the areas of areas affected by chemical, biological, radiological and nuclear effects. And of course logistics, including the medical. Okay. And it is not only the conventional warfare, they are being used across the entire spectrum of conflict. That is, say whether it be UN peacekeeping operations, whether it be for the counter-insurgency or counter-terrorist operations, or even say for human assistance and disaster relief missions. So some of the emerging trends so far as the warfare is concerned, which we have seen in the recent past is the complete range of drones which has got its employment. Right from the hail category to those small nano drones. And also even biomimic insects or say birds. And the dominance of low cost platforms. And that's why we can see that the proliferation is down to a section level or maybe even an individual soldier level. And this aspect is also very evident from the fact that what Ukraine has said that they're going to be actually manufacturing more than 1 million drones in 1 year. So we can imagine the kind of proliferation it will have on the battlefield. And the enhanced effectiveness of it because of the use of AI, the advanced sensors and swarming. In fact, swarming has now again made us think about, do we really need a package of aircrafts for an operation the way we were actually planning for it earlier, or can it be a package of these swarm drones only? May be able to achieve similar effects. And it is actually the civilian drones which are getting militarized. The concepts of manned unmanning teams has now, because of the drones, even gone into unmanned teams. And as a recent example we saw in Ukraine, wherein the drones and the unmanned ground vehicles both being used in conjunction with each other for an operation. So, in this backdrop, what is the Indian Army's approach? Our approach is eagle on every soldier's shoulder. which we are looking at almost like one drone with every soldier. That is for the purpose of ISR and even for the purpose of some targeting also. And towards that, we are looking at establishing drone labs even at the formation levels and also having drone incubation hubs in some of the military stations. The major challenge, so far as the Indian Army is concerned, the drones for the Indian Army are concerned, is in the high altitude areas. And that is something peculiar to the Indian Army only. So nobody has got a battlefield at the 20,000 feet of altitude. The conditions over there, the operational conditions as well as the terrain and weather conditions are quite different, which have large implications on the kind of equipment which has to operate over there. Now that includes operation in very say severe temperature conditions, that is maybe say from minus 40 degree onwards, and because of these temperature conditions the battery is drying out very fast. Then icing taking place on various components, and then operating in a rarefied atmosphere, and that is something again only peculiar to Himalayas. While there is snow, adequate snow and all in other parts of the world, but this rarefied atmosphere is only here. Because of which the performance of any machine over there goes down to almost 60% of what it operates in the plains. And then high speeds, wind speeds, anything more than 30 knots. So stability of the drone is required to be able to operate in those kind of weather conditions. And that's a challenge. But at the same time, I'm happy to say that I think in the last about 2 to 3 years, a lot of industry has come forward and is trying to meet these challenges. And I have seen them coming up, starting from a logistic capability of just about 5 kg at 15,000 feet to now having gone up to about 30 to 35 kg. And I think that's the way forward, that gradually I'm sure our industry will be able to meet these requirements. And to give an idea of all this what I have said, have a feel of it practically on ground, is what we have been actually facilitating the industry to visit those forward areas, and we have specifically conducted 2 events called as HIM Dronathon, one in 2022 somewhere in November and one last year in September. And got about 30 odd industries participated in that. They have their experience of actually practically going over there, operating and actually verifying whether how much their equipment can perform under those actual battlefield conditions. Now what are our requirements apart from this high altitude? I would, while say we keep launching these requirements by means of the IDEX challenges or say in terms of make 2 cases getting initiated or by TDF and all. Recently we have launched a compendium of problem definition statements during Aero India, CPDS 25. It's available on the Indian Army website. You can access that, and there are good about 8 to 10 cases related to drones in that. Okay. For example, IC engine based logistic drones for super high altitude area, heavy payload logistic drone for plains of the desert, looking at about 200 kg plus, swarm drone based mine dispensing system, standoff range explosive detection system, cardboard drones, tethered drone systems operating as for the purpose of radio relay, for comment, for LNT, and for medium range battlefield surveillance, radars. So these are some of those which I have just mentioned. You can have a look at that and the problem statements. I think the industry would actually request for maximum amount of participation so that we can get the best possible solution. And also another aspect related to this is that we are going to be conducting, I think most of you must be already aware, is something we are calling as SWAYAP, that is for the autonomous systems. And we are going to be conducting an experiment around last week of April. Exact dates will be intimated. And whatever case you have any drone, especially if it has got to do anything with targeting or in terms of weaponized drones, most welcome. Please participate in that experiment. Bring your equipment, we'll see it on ground and then see what is the way ahead for that. And also at the same time I'll say we need to even think beyond just the unmanned aerial systems. We need to think at stealth so far as drones are concerned, because it's always a cat and mouse game. It's always a race between a technology and a counter technology, especially in the military domain. So therefore, while there are drones getting developed, similarly the counter drone systems are also getting developed. So you need to look at stealth for the drones, and also the counter stealth measures. That is in terms of the surveillance payloads. They are used for the purpose of deception. For example, say to be able to saturate the AD cover, a drone being used, but with some means. For example, say by use of a Newton's lens, wherein it is projecting like a helicopter and not just a drone. Some of the essential things which have become very, very important now is to have anti-jamming and anti-spoofing measures and to be able to operate in a GNSS denied environment. For that purpose, we haven't seen some of the recent examples of even control through the fiber optics cable also. And protection against the directed energy weapons. Maybe in terms of some sort of protective coating on the surface of the airframe, and in terms of some advanced materials which can withstand those directed energy weapons. So we need to look at these counter-to-counter solutions so that it's not that while we keep developing, and then tomorrow when the adversary uses those countermeasures, we again find ourselves that we are not effective against it. So it's a great opportunity for industry. The global market says that the CAGR of nearly about 8%, and Indian market, the expectation is about $1.8 billion by 2026. So that's the kind of market we have today. But while we have all this, and all this will lead to Viksit Bharat, but for Viksit Bharat, it can be possible only with a Surakshit Bharat. And that Surakshit Bharat is not in 2047. When we are talking of Viksit Bharat in 2047, that Surakshit Bharat has to be right from today. Because only then it can contribute towards that Viksit Bharat. And why I am saying that is because, even like yesterday there was an example. Someone mentioned in one of the seminars that there are 840 drone companies in the country. And someone from the industry countered it that no, actually they are just only integrators. Hardly, otherwise actually there are very few whom you can count on fingertips who are actually drone manufacturers. So what we need is the indigenization. The need for this self-reliance has been felt in about last 3 years plus. We all are very well aware of it. But now the dimension is different. It is no more just for the purpose of supply chain resilience or no more a logistical challenge. It is a national security challenge today. Because if we have the components coming from China, they are being used in these drones, and then the entire data, the control of these drones is very much in the hands of the adversary sitting over there. Can you imagine the amount of vulnerability we have with all these drones operating in the country? So that is what we are targeting now, and I'm sure the drone industry is aware of it. When we started off with this process in October, we had the first event of Drone Shiver with the help of Drone Federation of India. Thereafter, we have had multiple iterations with the industry and including other government agencies, including QCI, STQC, and various other ministries, Ministry of Civil Aviation and METI and all. And we have been able to evolve a framework which can mitigate the security vulnerabilities in drones. So that framework is going to get applied during the procurement of these drones for the defense. And this framework is likely to get approved very soon. It has already been presented to the Defense Secretary. It's going to get implemented in a few months, I can say. And that is what is just one of our steps so that we ensure that at least we do not have the vulnerabilities. Now, why we are restricted to that is because today we know that the level of indigenization in the country is not there. In the semiconductors, the fabrication, that much of capacity, capability is not there what is required. So obviously, while the efforts have been taken, the initiatives have been taken by the government, it will take some time for it to actually get established and develop that kind of capability. So in the interim, is this that at least if we can mitigate these security vulnerabilities, that will be good enough for us. But ultimately, the aim is indigenization. Now, why is that not taking place? It's not taking place. While going through this entire process of making this framework, when we interacted with the industry and we mapped their capabilities and who is doing what, we realized there is not even one component of drone which is not being manufactured in the country, designed and manufactured in the country. At least there is one private firm which is manufacturing that particular component. So the capability exists, but the problem is of the awareness. That awareness is not there even amongst the industry also. As to that, for that particular component, which is the industry which can actually provide you that component for those who are actually say manufacturing the entire system. So that is where I would request the organization like PHDCCI. I think we need to map the entire industry's capability and create that awareness amongst the industry, and of course with the customers like us who are actually going to be using it. But that is what then can help us to lay down that okay, these are the components which we want to be indigenous only. Yes, then there are challenges. The challenges are primarily of cost. And that cost challenge, because obviously when we are getting that component from China who is making it in millions vis-a-vis our domestic requirement, and if you look at it of only the armed forces, it's very, very minuscule. So therefore they can never actually match in that competitive bidding of L1. So that is where we need actually a whole of nation approach. It is that once we have indigenized any component, because before coming on to that, I would say that why this whole of nation approach? While I have spoken about the security vulnerabilities for the defense forces, but I think the similar vulnerabilities exist for everyone across every sector. Even if say that drone is being used for say agriculture, or even if it is being used in the mining sector, look at the amount of data which it is able to collect. May it be about the terrain, about the area, about the population, anything. So that data, and today the warfare is not restricted to only those domains of land, sea and air, or say even the space. It is into cyber also, which can be affected by this, and it's the cognitive domain. It's actually speaking battle of narratives. What narratives can be built by virtue of this data being collected even from our commercial and private sectors is anybody's guess. So therefore we actually need to have totally indigenous solutions and which do not have these security vulnerabilities. For that it is a whole of nation approach required. Once anything getting indigenized, we make it that okay, this particular component will not get imported, but simultaneously also have that capacity building addressed by having multiple firms that being able to actually manufacture that and meet the overall domestic requirement. So that the domestic requirement itself becomes at least be able to be competitive against those Chinese components. It's again a challenge. Obviously, it will not be so much since China has captured most of the world market. So that is where again the government's role comes in, where we need to have some sort of say equalizing factors, some sort of incentive being given in that manner, so that the L1, when we are looking at the L1, that with that equivalence factor being applied, is able to actually match it. So these are some of the issues I think which we need to look at. And another aspect is I think the industry also used to look at consortium approach. So while there are individual those components being made by different industries indigenously, but then somebody wanting to do it himself only and being that L1, therefore importing and all, I think we need to look at a consortium approach that will be good for the nation as such. And lastly, we have seen in Ukraine surge capability. Just now we mentioned about how India as a nation we were able to fight about COVID. Similarly, if tomorrow required, this is one thing where again we'll have to fight it like that. So surge capabilities in both. It's not only just limited to production. We have seen it's every 2 to 3 months a new technology coming up, a new counter being developed to it. But cat and mouse game is being played almost on daily basis. And to be able to match that, we need to have such capability even in our R&D also. To take it right from that TRL 1, 2 to 9. So we are able to then actually manufacture and produce in bulk. And for all this, I can assure you that Army Design Bureau is always there to handhold the industry, to assist you, to guide you to what our requirements are, I've already indicated things like CPDS, which we have launched, and other such documents and other such interactions. We'll be able to give out what are the kind of requirements we have, and then we're ready to take you to the forward areas to make you feel actually the kind of terrain and weather conditions, so that we are able to develop the equipment accordingly. The forward area tours are being conducted by us. Last year we conducted good about 10 of them in 1 year, and nearly 100 odd industry and academia rep facilitated were facilitated. And then when you have any product, the NCNC demos is you are most welcome to offer it for that, and we have been doing it, which has actually resulted into lot many procurements thereafter. Because with those NCNC demos, the advantage is that we get to know the capability which is there with the industry, the kind of employment, then we look at it, that what kind of employment we can have, and also at the same time the industry gets to know as to what are the shortcomings in that, what kind of product improvements are required to make it acceptable to us, because that acceptability factor is also conveyed by the troops on ground when you are conducting those NCNC demos in those kind of terrains. So that is how this is an iterative process, a collaborative approach thing, which will help us to make the entire ecosystem grow and be able to meet the requirements of the Indian Army to make it future ready. Funding, there are various routes today available, and which we are actually following a mix of all these various routes, right from maybe IDEX, TDF, MAKE, or even the Army Technology Board. And that is where the entire R&D actually we are getting developed through this Army Technology Board funded projects. And any ideas, any solutions you have at any time, most welcome to please offer it to us, and then we will see how best we can utilize it. We will be able to guide you how to move ahead in that. For contacting us, just Google Army Design Bureau. For those of you who still don't know about it, just Google Army Design Bureau and you will get our contact details over there. Send us an email, contact us on telephone, and we'll follow it up. With that, once again, I would like to thank PhD CCI for having given me this opportunity and wishing all the best for this event. Thank you.